All right, today I'm going to review The Curse of Bigness, Antitrust in the New Gilded Age by Tim Wu. So this is a really short book, only like 140 pages, and they're kind of small pages. In this book, it's all about the state of antitrust laws in the world, and really in the U.S. today, because most of the companies that are talked about are American companies, though a few German companies are mentioned. But so a little bit about the author. He's a professor at Columbia Law School, and he's written a few other books. Most of the time, he writes about tech companies. He wrote The Master Switch and The Attention Merchants, and one other one which I can't remember right now. But he's written a few books, mostly on tech, but they're kind of like legal, economic, social commentary. It's a mix of topics. But and this is the first one I've read. But I liked it a lot, and I bought his other books because I'm interested in his point of view, because he's talking about things that I'm really interested in. So this book traces the history of antitrust in the U.S., going back to like the 1800s when it started, when you had the first trust busters, and it kind of follows uh, what companies were busted and why they were busted. What was the thinking at the time? Like, how were they interpreting laws? What new laws came about? And it kind of just traces the history of antitrust in the U.S. And then it ends up in the present day, and then he talks about how different it is today, because for a long time we were constantly making companies split up if they were too big. But around the 90s or so, with the first Bush president, H.W. Bush, I think. But with the first Bush president, uh, everyone stopped enforcing these like antitrust laws. And he shows you why. It's because they started using this very economic view of antitrust and why it was written. And they kind of think if a monopolist isn't overcharging people a lot of money, then it's not really a problem because they're just being more efficient. But this book argues against that point and ties antitrust law to more social issues. It's about democracy, and that these companies get so big, they have so much power that they can manipulate the system so much that it's a liability, and you kind of have to break them up to keep competition fresh and keep anyone from having more power than the government. And it's a very it's an interesting book. I agreed with his overall premise. I work in finance, and I see just every industry seems like it's consolidating all the time. It's kind of crazy how much it's going on. So I was sympathetic to that view, though I will say there's a few points in this book that didn't really land with me. One, he kind of implies that after the 1970s, AT&T was split up into a bunch of companies, and right after this period, the companies all had a lot of innovation in them, and he kind of implies that the innovation came about because they were split up. But when AT&T was split up in the 70s, it was right before the PC revolution. It's right before computers took over everything, and so there was a lot of other things going on that helped the innovation in telecommunications. Because most of the PC and all that stuff that came about because of improvements in microprocessors. It wasn't really because a company was broken up. It was a lot of technical innovations coming together to make computers rapidly improve, and that drove a lot of innovation for the next like 40 years after that. So uh, he didn't really mention the computers, and when I read that, I kind of winced because immediately I could see that there's another explanation for why there'd be so much innovation in telecommunications in that period. And he didn't mention that, which bugged me a little bit. But again, overall, I agreed with his message, and I really enjoyed the book. And I bought his other books, so I think highly enough of the book to kind of get more content from the author. So I I would recommend this book if you're interested in the state of antitrust currently. This is a really good book to read. It's short, but it's full of interesting facts, and it tells the history really quickly, so you can kind of read it really fast, but it still gives you a lot of information. So I enjoyed the book, and yeah, if you're interested in that topic, definitely pick it up and give it a read. So I hope you guys like this review. I've got more reviews coming soon, so like, subscribe, and I hope to see you guys in the next one.